The National Democratic Congress says it does not trust the Electoral Commission to deliver a free and fair election this year. The party has listed errors and discrepancies in the provisional voter register, reiterating its long-standing demand for a forensic audit of the register. At a meeting with civil society organizations and invited groups, the NDC called for a mediator to audit the register as it observes that the Electoral Commission lacks capacity to build a robust register.
We want a robust system. Look, do not be deceived. And I believe all the things we've shared with you, have we gotten to the polling station yet on December 7th? But do you agree that the things we've shared with you can lead to rigging of an election? So let no one ever deceive you that it is only at the polling station that elections can be rigged. Elections are not only won at the polling stations. Elections can be won from the offices of the Electoral Commission. And if I may add, if this crop of people are in charge of the Electoral Commission.
Deputy Attorney General Alfred Ocansey has warned that the Plea Bargaining Act will not be used as a tool to evade justice. Speaking at capacity training for prosecuting attorneys, Ocansey asserted that plea bargaining will not be used to shield criminals.
If there is a financial crime and you are ready to go by the terms of the act and your offer is acceptable to us, then we can enter into that kind of arrangement. But that also does not mean that if, for example, you've stolen 1 million Ghana cedis and you want to refund 2 million Ghana cedis, automatically we must accept that offer. At times, we may not accept depending on the facts of the case. We may say, even though we want to pay, we will not take the money. We want to go through full trial so that at the end of the day, if you are convicted and you are sentenced to prison, it will serve as a lesson to others.
In the last few hours, there have been questions on whether heavyweight boxer Anthony Joshua should continue boxing or retire from the sport after losing in the 5th round to Daniel Dubois. Boxing expert Amin Lamte thinks it is not yet over for Joshua.
He had a game plan. There was effective communication between him and his corner, and he lived up to expectation by trying to dictate the pace for Anthony Joshua. He dictated the pace, and Anthony Joshua has no any answers to all the questions that he raised. So I think that he has really proven his mettle. But you know, when we talk about the likes of Tyson Fury, the likes of Usyk, even the likes of Deontay, there are boxers who are waiting. Sometimes you cannot say it's over until you get there.
There's more news on 3news.com. Make some time and visit 3news.com. This is Ghana Tonight. Coming up next, lawyers for some of the arrested members of the Democracy Hub raised concerns about a possible breach of the rights of the protesters. Exactly what are they talking about? We'll tell you why they hold this strong position and really how things have played out, at least over the last almost 72 hours. A number of you have been talking about the inconvenience that the roads that have been blocked right from the 37 intersection all through some areas here in front of us here at TV3 to many parts of the Jubilee House. You cannot have access to it over the last almost 72 hours. Yes, it's created some inconvenience, but there is a message in there that the protesters wanted to send strongly. The streets leading to the 37 Military Hospital and the Elwak Sports Stadium were earlier today this evening, deserted by the Democracy Hub protesters after over 40 of their members, including the lead convener, Oliver Bakavomawo, were arrested. Now, protesters failed to show up for the third and final day of their demonstration. Nonetheless, there's heavy police presence to forestall any eventuality. The roads that were blocked from 37 all through the frontage of the Jubilee House has now been opened to traffic as we speak. This evening, So it's easing the seeming inconvenience that was created. But then again, we did not see any last day action from the protesters, and for good reason, because of what had happened earlier today. We'll establish the information we got that 2 of the protesters were arrested earlier today when they showed up with the placards. That sent some message as well of concern to the other protesters who were watching closely and how things played out. But let me just do a quick recall of what has been happening over the last 72 hours, almost 72 hours. Now, some of these protesters were arrested and others were picked up while in the action of protesting and bringing home that real concern about illegal mining, the impact of illegal mining on all of us. And they decided to hit the streets with that concern, while we've also been talking about it here. Take a look.
The police are arrested.
I say go, go. Let's go. For Ghana. Take it away.
To put in the food to be cooked. So she has come to fight for her rights. Clean water.
The police issued caution yesterday, and
They
one would have
didn't talk
thought
to
that
me. They did not talk to me.
yesterday they issued a
No
statement.
police has issued any. I have not seen it. They did not give me a statement. I have not seen any statement. I have not seen any statement.
Mommy, what is it? They arrested you?
What are they face now? Come back tomorrow, then we also get something to.
Okay, bring them. Bring them. Take her to the mother.
So this what's been happening over the last almost 72 hours. In fact, these arrests you saw there, some of the protesters happened for the most part of yesterday as we saw things playing out, and then also on Saturday as well. Now, we had information earlier today based on the police statement they issued that Oliver Bokamfomawo has been arrested. Prior to that statement being issued, we had contacted him. He indicated he was turning himself into the police. So would reconcile the two positions as we heard as to how he ended up in the hands of the police as we speak. But based on the information we have from some sources within the protesters, they say that these protesters who were arrested between Saturday and Sunday have been spread across a number of police stations. And we understand it's a strategy by the Ghana Police Service. So this is what we do know. These protesters, some of them are being held at the Cantonment Police Station. Others are also being held at the Tesano Police Station, some in Sukura Police Station. Some have also been sent to the Dansoman Police Station. Others are also being held at the Nema Police Station. Oyibi Police Stations of the protesters have been sent there. The Railway Police Station, according to the leadership of these protesters, they say also that based on the information that we have so far, the Railways Police Station, they have them there. The Ministries Police Station, Westland Police Station, some of them are being held there as well. The Legon Police Station, Ayimensa Police Station, some of them, these protesters who were arrested have been sent there at the Braka Police Station, as well as the Jamestown Police Station. All these police stations, we understand these protesters who were arrested between Saturday and Sunday, and today, as a matter of fact, have been sent to these police stations as you see there. Thankfully, we have Noah. Noah Damte is the leader of the lawyers for these protesters who have been arrested. He's joining us in the studio. Noah, appreciate you. Counsel, thank you for joining us here on Ghana Tonight.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Now, let's establish this. We got information earlier today that 2 of the protesters were arrested earlier today, correct?
Yeah, 2 were arrested today.
So that brings the number to how many, as far as you do know?
Yeah, so we know there are about 46 people arrested currently.
46?
Yeah.
The police says 42.
Yeah, so at the time the police mentioned 42, the 2 people who were arrested today had not been arrested yet. And between the 42 and then the last 2 people to be arrested, there were 2 other persons who were arrested. So that's 4 added to the 42 the police mentioned earlier brings the number to 46.
46. So the police stations that I displayed on the screen, is it consistent with the information you have that your clients have been spread across all these police stations? They are being held there as we speak?
Yes. But there are, I think, a couple more places that were not mentioned.
Additional police stations?
Yeah. So
which police stations?
So we know there is a couple of people at Mile 7.
Mile 7 police station?
Osu. Then we are informed Adenta and then Medina.
I see.
I don't know if you display Dansoman.
Dansoman, yes. We have that on the list that we have.
Okay.
Yes, there's Dansoman in there. I think Dansoman is the 4th on the list that we have as well. So that brings the number to almost 20.
Yeah.
Almost 20 police stations that they've spread these protesters arrested across. Yeah. Now, have you been able to reach them?
So that's been the major issue we've been facing since the first arrests were effected by the police. So we are not informed of the specific places the arrested persons are taken to. So we go to the regional command, as a regional headquarters, and we are basically left on our own to move from police station to police station, trying to find these people. So there are about only 13 to 15 people that we have been able to get notice of where they are actually being kept by the police. So for those people, we visited those police stations, and as we get there, we face situations where the station masters or the commander at the police station is unwilling to allow us see these people because according to them, there is an order from above which says that no lawyer or any person is allowed to have access to the people. There's
an order from above that they should not have access to legal counsel.
Yeah, unfortunately.
But that's, if what you're saying is anything to go by, that's illegal.
Yeah. So we've had that exchange with them, but most of them also appear helpless because they say the order from above cannot be disobeyed by them.
That the order from above is that what? The protesters who have been arrested should not be allowed to speak to you, the lawyers.
Yes. And even in some cases, some of the commanders will tell you, we cannot even know their names. The funny thing is that there are places we have been to where we are told there is no one being kept here, even though we've been informed from the regional headquarters that people are being kept there. So there are places you get even different information from different police officers. And what we are informed is that we are not supposed to tell you whether or not someone is being kept here.
I see. So, but then how did you get information about the 13 or 15 that you were able to identify that they were in police station A or B, because you indicated that they're denying you access to your client.
Yeah. So for some of the people, especially those who were kept at Jamestown, Adabraka, cantonments, we were fortunate enough that when we went to those stations, the police officer in command was willing to tell us that we have 2 people here or we have 1 person here.
Right.
And he allowed us at least get to know the name of the person. But he can't allow us to have conference with the person. So you have to stand behind their counter and then just scream to have communication with the person. Just ask the person how you are doing, and then basically that's it. Yeah, so, and unfortunately for most of these people, they were asked to write their statements even before they will be given access to call a family member. But for lawyers, they are not entertaining any communication between these people and their lawyers.
They're going to be arraigned before court tomorrow.
Yes.
And you haven't been able to speak to them.
Yeah.
So what charges are they being preferred or being preferred against them ahead of tomorrow?
We don't know. We don't know anything about that. So we'll all get to know that, God willing, tomorrow in court.
But that's irregular, is it not? I mean, if for you as a lawyer to a client, you have no idea of the charges being leveled against your client, you only get to know of it in court.
Yeah, it's absolutely...
Is there a regular practice?
No. It's absolutely unconstitutional and clear violation of police procedure. Because according to the law and the practice of the police itself, at the time of arresting a person, you must inform the person of the reason. And the person must also be informed of their right to counsel at that time, and even before they are charged. And after they are charged, you have to inform them of the reason for the charge. And you cannot even take a statement from such a person if you've not informed them of their right to counsel. So clearly from the time of arrest till now that they are even in detention, there is absolutely no regard for the Constitution, the laws of Ghana, and even the police procedure by the police officers.
See, but do you know the courts they're going to be taken to tomorrow?
No. So in the morning, we were at the regional headquarters and we spoke to the crimes officer and some other police officers. Then he said they cannot tell us the courts they will be taken to. So we will have to figure that out for ourselves.
So you have to come through the whole of Accra?
Yeah.
To know the courts that they will be taken to?
Yeah, so we have to adopt a strategy to know where they will be brought and then try to represent them when they are called upon.
It could be possible some of them will go through or go to court without legal representation.
Very possible. As it stands now, they are going to court tomorrow without legal representation. Yeah.
That puts them at a disadvantage.
Yeah, and what even is more scary is that there are some that we do not even know their names. You know, some of the protesters were picked up without the leaders of the protest group even knowing their names and their whereabouts. So this morning I was at one police station trying to find out whether any of the protesters had been brought there. And someone shouted from one of the salesmen that I'm part of them.
I see.
And there's someone who no one knows is in that particular station. So it's possible that he's not had access to family, aside lawyers, and may go to court tomorrow without any representation.
And with this, what we're seeing on the screen right now is Oliver Bakavomao.
Yeah.
Because of this incident, he decided to get into the police van and doing what he did. The police issued a statement today that he had been arrested. Yeah. He said he turned himself into the police. What's the current state of affairs with him?
Yeah, so I think somewhere around 1 p.m., we got the notice that Oliver Bakavomao had voluntarily gone to the police station, that is the regional headquarters, to turn himself in because the police had issued a notice that they were on a manhunt for him. So he had already stated that he was available to present himself to the police if there need be. So he turned himself in. So it wasn't as though Oliver was arrested somewhere when he was trying to evade arrest. No, he turned himself in personally in the company of his lawyer.
I see. You issued a statement asking for some demands.
Yes.
You asking some questions of the police.
Yeah.
What were those? And if that is if you've gotten any answers so far.
Yeah, so we've not had any answers from the police so far, but our questions were basically to know the names of the people who have been arrested. We want a list to know their names and then their whereabouts.
Right.
Which stations are they being kept at? We also wanted to know the courts, the charges possibly that have been brought against them, and if they are being arraigned in court, the courts where they will be arraigned at. But unfortunately, we've not been able to get any response from the police.
Noah, thank you, counsel. Thank you for joining us here on Ghana Tonight. And then tomorrow, if you get that information as well as to where they are going to be taking, as in the courts where they'll be taken, we'll certainly will be there in the interest of our viewers as well to get to know what is going to be happening. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Noah Adamte is the leader of the lawyers who are representing these protesters of the Democracy Hub who were picked up between Saturday, Sunday, and today. Are being held at almost 20 police stations as we've counted so far. They're expected to be arraigned before court tomorrow. Noah Adamte is private legal practitioner together with his lawyers as well, who are going to, in fact, they say they're going to comb the whole of Accra, all the courts, to find out which courts they're going to be arranged. And then we'll also get you some information as and when we get it. This is Ghana Tonight. Coming up next, we tell you what the National Democratic Congress has been discussing with civil society and also the media and some notable persons about the voters register after their last week that's enough is enough demonstration. We were there to hear exactly what they had to say. We remain your election command center. National Democratic Congress, NDC, is saying it does not trust the Electoral Commission to deliver a free and fair election this year. According to the party, the Electoral Commission has lost its reliability and credibility, describing its posturing as biased and full of self-interest. At a meeting earlier today with civil society organizations and other interest groups, the NDC once again made a strong case for an independent audit of the 2024 voters register, which was exhibited. We'll also be connecting shortly with our reporter, Christian Yali, who was there for us earlier today. But first, let's take a listen to what the NDC Director of IT and Elections, Dr. Edward Omaneboama, outlined as some of the key observations of the party.
When we met the EC on 6th of September this year, we alluded to the fact that 243,540 previous transfers had been added to the 2024 transfers. And some of them were repetitions of the names, so double error. You transfer the person and then they repeat the names. Another is the 15,000 unidentifiable voter transfer paths. Over 15,000 people transferred. So over 15,000 people who have been transferred, but we don't know where they came from. Where did they register? Which station did they register? Which district office? Could it be that these people were surreptitiously registered in bedrooms, in garages, because we cannot trace where they were registered? Over 3,000, almost 4,000 names that were in the 2023 register completely deleted from the 2024 provisional register. Completely deleted. 2,094 transferred voters, you can't find them in the absent voters list. So they transferred, but their names are not in the absent voters list. Okay, corrupt files. You don't find any name. You don't find photos. You don't even find the age.
Well, that's Dr. Omaneboama. They also outlined the following demands which the party wants the Electoral Commission to act on immediately. Take a look.
We want a forensic audit of the register. And not just the register, but its IT system. We need to note this. We told them, look, you lack capacity. Bring in UNDP and let them provide technical support. They never worked on that. Electoral Commission has clenched. They are holding on. They are holding on. But what they are holding on, like barbed wires, they should unclench. It will hurt them. So they should unclench. Because we want to identify the root causes of the avoidable errors. We want to identify the scale of the problem. We want to diagnose the IT vulnerabilities, including late activation of the liveliness test. Was it deliberate? Well planned? They should convene stakeholders, political parties, CSOs, ECOWAS, AU, UNDP, EU, USAID, the British High Commission, and others for collaboration. They should agree to publish the findings of the forensic audit. They should re-exhibit the register after the forensic audit, review and correct all unauthorized transfers, adopt a revised timeline for electoral activities without compromising the 7th December election date. And when we say this, look, it was this same EC that said they wanted to run the elections in November. You all heard it, until we fought it. And they should institute accountability and integrity measures to prevent future manipulation of the voters' register.
That's Dr. Manubuama, Director of IT and Elections for the NDC. Now we can now bring in our reporter, my colleague Christian Yale, who sat through the entire presentation earlier this evening. And Chris, I know you spoke to some invited personalities first off, but clearly tell us what the mood in there was, what the reaction in there was, especially from the CSOs who were gathered in there.
Right, Alfred, thanks for connecting with me. And so I have been speaking to Professor Kobi Mensah, who is a political marketing strategist with the University of Ghana Business School. He agrees to an independent audit of the voter register. He even mentions, for instance, that but for today's presentation by Dr. Edward Omanibuama, he wouldn't have known that the observations and the identified issues are as grave as the NDC has presented them. But also, aside from him, I've been talking to Professor Ransford Jampo, who is a professor of political science with the University of Ghana Political Science Department, who, for instance, makes the case that what? If the demand for a forensic audit is what is probably causing the EC's reluctance, then the NDC should look at an alternative way of addressing this issue by asking that all political stakeholders, and by way of extension probably IPAC, sit so that these issues would be tabled one after the other so that we have a consensus reached. Right. He also talks, among other things, about how some civil society organizations become very quiet when a political party is in power, and the same groups become very vociferous when another regime is in power. He believes that that does not augur well for the country, but all in all, he believes that there should be a pathway to addressing these issues so that the country gets a credible and peaceful election that will safeguard the credentials of our democracy. These are some of the things that both of them have been telling me.
Good
Alfred.
Stuff. Chris, thank you. Thank you so much. And if you just hold on for me, let's hear from Professor Kobi Mensah, as you spoke to him earlier today. And also Professor Ransford Jampo, who is a professor of political science at the University of Ghana, Legon, who were all part of the audience earlier today. Let's take a look at them.
We already had a certain view of what the demands were, but I particularly didn't actually think that it was as grave as what has actually been pointed out. Clear evidences of lapses, gaps, all right, that had been actually presented. I think that the way forward is for the EC to actually take a positive position. Obviously institutions are not perfect, processes are not perfect. You could actually acknowledge some of the lapses and perhaps call for a consensus, call for a certain, a kind of a relationship, win-win, as you put it, so that we can resolve this in order that we could have a very, fairer, process, a very, comprehensive process.
I am not saying that, and I don't know for a fact that somebody has deliberately done something that is wrong, at the EC. But my point is, if it so happens that somebody did something deliberately, or inadvertently, and then you say that let there be forensic audit, it becomes a bit difficult for the person managing the commission to say, yes, I've easily acceded, to that. Because if someone under the headship of the commission has done something culpable or something untoward, then it means you are just going to throw the person under the bus. Yeah. So if that's all they are looking for, so that the credibility of the voters' roll would not be questioned, then if it wouldn't hit, why don't we all say that let the Electoral Commission sit down with all the stakeholders, the NDC, the MPP, and all the other political parties. Let them sit down. And then at a go, let all of them dialogue about some of these issues. I believe that at such a forum, the NDC will be comfortable to table or bring out all its issues.
That's Professor Ransford Jampo, Professor of Political Science at the University of Ghana, Legon, also Professor Kobe Mensah. He is also a senior lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School. He's a political marketing strategist there as well. Now, that call for dialogue is what's going to, Dr. Asasante is going to be joining me in a bit, but let's establish first off that we hit the streets earlier today with the People's Voices segment here on Ghana Tonight. Now, some of you also have been sharing your thoughts with us about this call for the audit of the voters' register. Take a look.
Not even politicizing this. It's a sign of transparency to the registered voter who is going to vote. And the brouhaha arising really means that there is something wrong somewhere. Our elders say there is no smoke without fire.
An EC official came out and he said in 2016 we had trees and plants, animals in the voters registration or the voters register, and the NDC didn't come out for any auditing. I think we shouldn't relate this to any political thing, because this issue is something that is trending and Ghanaians are really interested in it. And if the EC doesn't audit the voters register, it means Ghanaians are losing trust and credibility that we have in the EC.
Said the NDC for an answer Ghana for per se yeshim or say yeshim, because say idea or hona was yeshim. Na se wunu ji dis idea na yeshim no e correct ma yeshim. Se wuji di say enye correct dia e na e wona wusuru. Se wa be ka kire me se me wa de bone e wo me phone so. Na me se me ni ade bone wo me phone so a e wo say ye check me phone no so. Se me se ade bone ni so na me se me ma wo hwe phone no so, that means ade bone ye den e wo phone no so. Nti me de me dwene say de omo call for no say ye hwe register ni no e correct say wo say ye hwem.
Honestly, I don't care. I mean, those in charge should just come together and do the right thing. Whatever that may be, they should just come together and do the right thing. But then again, were they just fired or was something else done to them? Because if it's just firing them, then I think people will continue to take the law into their own hands and then do some of these things. So if there are harsher punishments, maybe it would deter others from doing that.
Me my dream journey say asunju aye penti isi oma kwan na omo hwehwe mu na truth no ember out na bibia so entwa na asunju embra na ye ansa na ye be ye vote na ntiase aba na asunju.
And this is the People's Voices segment here on Ghana Tonight. We bring the microphone to you and to your community to have a say in what we're saying here on Ghana Tonight. Dr. Kwame Asante is a political science lecturer, senior lecturer for that matter, University of Ghana Political Science Department, is joining us on Zoom. Appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us here on Ghana Tonight. You hear some of the people on the street, and including Professor Jampo, make the call for a dialogue. Now, if this call for an audit, Professor Asante, is so considered, how will that impact on the trust and confidence and the credibility for the Electoral Commission going into these polls?
Thank you for the opportunity, Alfred. In politics, particularly so when we are talking about elections, the main issue is trust. That when all the players in the political game have trust issues, then it becomes a whole new ball game altogether. That said, it tells you that the management of electoral process, it must be organized in such a way that there is always the opportunity to win the confidence of the key players. Sometimes too, I admit that sometimes there are differences, but at the end of the day, reason prevails, and then people sit down and then arrive at a certain conclusion. So if this issue, if the election management board, that is the EC, decide to, allow for audits, first of all, it's going to enhance the electoral process and allay the fears of all those who have concerns with the register. Two, it gives people the confidence to believe in the system, trusting that what they will churn out, that is the Electoral Commission, after the whole exercise, will be nothing but a true reflection of the people's mandate, and that will engender confidence, and then it deepens the democratic process. So I believe that the way things are going, the best option is for Electoral Commission to allow the audit to happen, because I know from where I sit, and I am not sure that the Electoral Commission has anything to hide. So if they go through the audit, they should be able to address all the concerns, because let's face it, the issues that the NDC are raising relative to the problems with the register, they are not things that can be swept under the carpet. No. They are talking about what? Illegal transfer of votes. They are talking about the fact that somebody also tempered with the system. They also talk about certain huge, numbers that are associated with the illegal transfer and the rest of them. Even one is a ban enough for Electoral Commission to undermine the whole electoral process. So once these things have been brought to the fore, I think that given the circumstances surrounding it, and that the NDC doesn't want to sit down for this thing to be addressed with the Electoral Commission and all that, I think the best way out is that call for the audits, audit it, and then all the key actors will be happy with that. Let us remember that it is not only the NDC which is supporting this position, but we have had other groups that also have been brought on board supporting the issue. So I think for peace to prevail and for us to go through a smooth process that is devoid of any irregularity, this is the first test that we need to clear. And it is to make sure that a decision that is taken will, allay the fears of all those who have problems with the system.
Rightly so. Dr. Asante, appreciate your time, and then make a comprehensive point and detail with that issues that you put out there. Thank you very much for joining us. And then again, we'll see how the coming days will play out, especially with the calls for dialogue, consideration, and so on, and whether that is also going to be also an area of consideration. Thank you, Dr. Kwame Asasante is a senior lecturer at the University of Ghana, Political Science Department. This is your Election Command Center. Let's settle for manifesto check. On Manifesto Check tonight, we return to La in the Greater Accra region here to check the progress of work on the Trade Fair redevelopment project. You recall that they demolished, government demolished the Trade Fair site, the buildings that were in there, and with the plan of what, redeveloping the Trade Fair site?
Sure.
Dennis Poberi-Wadam is here. What's the image behind you?
Well, this is the night view of the Trade Fair redevelopment projects as we intended to have it. So this is just like the schematic view of how it would look like if they had completed it. And this is the night view. And if you go back, this is the daytime view, very mega structure that was promised in the 2020 manifesto of the MPP. So these are some of the drawings.
This was really captured in the manifesto?
Yeah, this was captured in the manifesto. But these drawings by the Venerable Sir David Ajayi, these are his drawings. And this depicts how Trade Fair would have looked like if this project was actually carried through.
I see.
Yeah, that's it. That's how it.
This looks beautiful.
Very beautiful when you look at it. It is. It has everything in it. It's a tech hub. You see the convention hall. It's the exhibition halls. Mm-hmm. It's a multi-purpose structure. But as we have it now, these are still.
It's more like the 3D videos or the pictures of
the drawings of it.
Trade Fair.
Yeah.
When I was little, we used to go there to, play on. There's a playground there. Those days.
And there was a venue for entertainment
and so on,
and all that. But now when you go there, all those things have been demolished. Actually.
Yeah, it's actually a bare land. From what you see.
Tell you what, these were the projected timelines that we're supposed to be working with.
Right.
So by the first quarter of 2023, there was supposed to be a salt cutting ceremony for the development of the infrastructure, i.e. the roads, the drains, utilities, etc. By the second quarter, there was supposed to be a continuous investment promotion and road shows to solicit investor interest, commitment and participation, all that, and also commencement on work on the retail mall lot. By the third quarter, there was supposed to be the commencement of work on exhibition halls.
The third quarter of 2023?
2023, we're talking about. And then by fourth quarter, we're supposed to be looking at the commencement of the development of other themes, as in the convention center, the hotels, the office parks, and all that. And this was supposed to come in two phases. Phase one to be developed into a mixed-use development on approximately 100 acres. That's how much land we're going to use for this project. Then the phase two would have been developed to be developed the AFCTA Secretariat, high-end apartments and other facilities around the African Lake on the residual parcel of land of about 56 acres.
So
it was a comprehensive plan, well mapped out, as contained in this investor brief that was presented to us.
So they were going to build apartments in that Trade Fair site?
Yes.
The area that has been demolished?
Yes.
I see.
Exhibition halls, everything that you needed was actually going to be there. And this is not in a vacuum. This is something that was contained in the, like I mentioned, was contained in the 2020 manifesto. This is how it was captured. We will construct one of the biggest convention and exhibition centers in the world at the Ghana Trade Fair Company site, LA.
Okay.
Now in 2024, but even before we get to 2024, let's look at how the place looks like today, as we have visited the place, like today.
We went there this evening?
Yes, we went there this evening to check how much work has been done or the progress of work. And what you see there is, our visuals from that location.
I see.
So those of you who are familiar with the place,
in fact, I drove past this place. It was sometime last week.
Right.
Part of it, you would see some huge poles being mounted.
Yes, you see that shortly. It's also
some
contained
poles
in
that
this.
were mounted, and
So what you see on that wall is just the same pictures that you had shown here, the drawings of how it will eventually look like if it is done.
This almost looks like the drawings around the National Cathedral area.
But it's the same person who has done the drawings. Yes, the same person who did that.
Oh, I see. Okay. So this is what's happening there right now?
Yes, outside of it. But when you begin to get inside, then you see that some work is ongoing, but not at an appreciable level as we would begin to see it look like the drawings that we're showing.
So this is in the inner perimeter of the trade fair.
Beginning to get in there.
But there were timelines.
Yes, I showed you the timelines.
And by this time, we should have seen what exactly? By the...
Okay, so...
We should have seen the commencement
these were even projected timelines for 2023.
2023. So...
And even by 2023, the projections were that there should have been a commencement of the development of other themes, as in the convention center, hotels, office. But as it stands now, you are unable to tell exactly what is ongoing there now, except to see that there are some
I see these
poles springing up and some access routes, if you like to call them that way, being constructed.
They have laid these pathways in there.
Yes.
And
okay, so you are beginning to see that the poles, yes,
they're now coming up. In there. Quite huge. A number of them. Those are the poles.
Yes.
And some squatters also use that area. It's actually
it's a vast land.
Vast land. So you go through there and then get into other parts of Chado, right?
So those who know this place like 2 years ago, who have ever been there for maybe some events, or even 3 or 4 years ago, who have gone there for printing, because there used to be a very popular printing press there.
Yeah.
Its demolition came with a lot of controversy and all that.
True. There was a washing bay as well, which has been, they've cleared them from the area.
So that's the state of it as we have it now.
I see.
But then again, it is not, I think perhaps it's clear that the MPP as a government have come to realization that it will be practically impossible to complete this before they leave office.
This cannot be completed.
So when you look at the 2024 manifesto, you'd find that there's also a promise in that regard, which now says that they will prioritize the completion of the conference facility at the Ghana International Trade Fair site. Now, mind you, the conference facility is just one component
of the many.
The project itself that was promised in the 2020. Like I showed you in the investor brief, you would find that it was a lot of things put together.
There's convention center, there's conference facility.
Yes, so the conference facility is just one aspect of it. Strangely, we couldn't find any specific promise on what would happen to this trade fair in the NDC manifesto. So the question now becomes, if the NDC is lucky to come to power in 2025, what becomes of what we are seeing there?
That trade fair site that has been demolished.
What will they do?
And the vast land there. Well, Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, I spoke to him over a week ago on Key Point. He said he had information that some 11 acres of this land you're talking about, somebody had gone to the Lands Commission claiming it. That's the trade fair lands. Let's listen to him.
You are aware that somebody has gone to the Lands Commission to go and redemarcate the Ghana Trade Fair company lands.
Ghana Trade
Fair. And we have lost 11 acres.
I've seen some development going on there.
Yes, we have lost some. It has shrunk. What belongs to Ghana, to the state, is shrunk by 11 acres. And it was done on the 2nd of September 2020.
The Ghana Airports.
Ghana Trade Fair. Yes. We have lost 11 acres.
The buildings have been demolished. This you will find on our Facebook page and also our YouTube page, TV3 Ghana. So 11 acres, according to some of the Blackwell, are already gone.
If we get the opportunity to ask the NDC, if fortunately they are able to come to power,
what
would happen to this? The same way we ask the question of what becomes of the National Cathedral, we should be able to ask what becomes of the trade fair if they come to power.
Good question. We're back shortly. Stay with us. Well, a lot of you who are sending questions and also inquiries about what we just showed you about the trade fair site and what is happening there. Stay with us here on Ghana Tonight. We'll stay the steam on this matter, give a lot more detail in the coming days and weeks as we continue to ask questions about what's going to happen next to that trade fair center site, that vast land there. What happens next if after December 7, there's also that pendulum swing? What happens to the National Cathedral site? Buildings were demolished. Compensation had to be paid to people with the taxpayers' money. What happens next? Those are the questions we're asking. On behalf of the team, I want to say thank you. Staying with us here on Ghana Tonight. Do join us same time tomorrow at 10 p.m. for another conversation. My name is Alfred Ocansey. Have a good night.